Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX-TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman, who's stuck in traffic, but he is on the line. Gotta love that guy. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a sports trivia question, and today's theme is Say It Ain't Joe.
Say it ain't Joe.
Say it ain't Joe. Okay,
I'm down.
Understand. Yeah, you'll understand when we get. All right, when we come back, talk a little baseball, a lot of football.
Winding down with baseball, man. We got like 12, 13 regular season games left, depending on what team you're following. And there's a lot of teams that are jockeying for position.
I was going to say,
the Giants are still in first place.
That's right.
They are.
Yes, they've locked it up as well. I think the Dodgers have locked it up. The A's are still right close, right?
A's are a little bit on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Right now, it's as we record this show, it's a two-horse race in the American League, and that would be the Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays who just come on, and the Yankees kind of hovering in there about a half game.
Half game, okay. And then, gosh, we had a lot of different things to talk about too. And I also want to bring up Mookie Betts. What a classy guy that is. I don't know if you heard the story about what he did.
Showed highlights of it last night.
Did you? What a
in my late show. Yep.
What a guy. I love that guy. All right, this segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money, providing mortgage investments currently yielding 7%, secured by real estate. Doesn't get any more conservative than that. Check them out at pacificprivatemoney.com. All right, so when we come back, we're going to talk a lot of different sports situations. I also want to talk about Alana McLaughlin. Do you know who that is?
But you will tell us.
I will tell you. Exactly. It's kind of interesting because this has to do with the transgender situation, and this one's a little tiny bit different than playing soccer or basketball. All right, stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. First, let's start off with a good story. Mookie Betts, what a classy guy. Baseball needs more people like him. By the way, I don't know if you know, he's a very, very good bowler as well.
I did not know that.
He is incredible. He might be able to. I mean, I don't know if we'd say he'd go pro, but he would definitely give them a run for their money. Let's put it that way. I remember just watching some sports. You know, they had different basketball players, football, baseball, and all that. Bowling. You know how they kind of mix the sports up like that, and it was amazing. And Chris Paul's another good one. And just watching this, holy smokes, man! And this guy knows what he's doing. He's probably, he probably grew up in some cold weather climate where, during the winter time, if you're not playing hockey, you're bowling.
Right.
That sort of thing. Anyway, so after TJ Friedl, is that how you pronounce it?
Friedl. Pronounced Friedl.
Yep. His first hit
for the Reds,
a home run for the Reds against the Dodgers. Mookie's playing, and Mookie realized it was his first hit and first home run. So he asks the fan for the ball, and he basically lets him know, "Listen, I got you." Right? So he could give it to Friedl, and then the next inning, instead of Mookie just going back out into the field or just even giving him a ball, he gives him a signed bat. What a guy,
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fan basically kind of going, okay, I'll trust this guy. He says he's got me. Okay, here's the ball. But how many guys think outside themselves?
Not many, especially during the course of a game. The guy goes yard and then bets from the opposition, pretty much brokers the deal. Going, hey, I'll give you a signed bat. Let's give the kid his ball.
Yeah,
I thought it was cool. And we ran a soundbite on the 11 o'clock news on Monday night, and basically the kid Friedl just says, hey, I just want to go over to the visiting locker room and just say thank you. It's just a really cool thing. You want that ball, and he got it.
Yeah.
The only foul ball that I've ever come close to catching. I went and I was at a game at Candlestick Park, and my friend went with his wife, and I went with my brother. And my friend said, "Oh, why don't we go and get some hot chocolate?" And I said, "Okay, I'll go help." And as I went up to get the hot chocolate, and while I was waiting in line, a foul ball landed on my seat and bounced up, and somebody else caught it.
Oh,
and
man!
So Yeah, that's that. When I came back, they were like, "Oh man, you should have seen it. Foul ball just landed on your seat." And I was like, "Where did it go?" And she's like, "Oh well, it bounced up so high, someone else grabbed it on its way back down." And you know, the guy behind me was like showing the foul ball, and I was like, "Oh!" And that's the only foul ball I've been anywhere within a mile of in all the years that I've gone.
As the great Maxwell Smart always said,
missed it
by
that much. And would you believe a troop of Boy Scouts?
Yeah.
You know, when they'd say, I have the FBI coming, and then he'd say, really? And go, would you believe a troop of Boy Scouts is headed on our way?
So that reminds me of kind of a sweet story. We had gotten really good tickets to a Giants game years ago when they were playing the Chicago Cubs. So that would have been, let's see, but Christian's almost 30 now, and I think he was about 11 or 12 at the time, so about 18 years ago. And so we had these really, really good tickets, and we're noticing this guy's glove who's in the front row, and you can tell it's a really, really old glove. And I read the inscription, and it said S. Crawford, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, did that belong to Sam Crawford? You know, which, I mean, you're talking about the early 1900s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we just got to talking a little bit about it, and he looks at my son's glove, because of course he brings his glove, and it's, you know, the inscription is Joe Carter. No, he didn't sign it, but it was, you know, one of those you know, royalty type deals, right? Where they just, you know, we all had like Willie Mays gloves or Babe Ruth or whatever, right? And so his happened to be a Joe Carter. And this guy says, you know, with this ticket, he says, we're playing the Cubs, and Joe Carter is like one of the, you know, personalities for the Cubs. You know, he's in one of the announcers or something. He says, you know, with this ticket, you can actually go up there, you know, and maybe meet him. And we're looking at him, we're going, we've got like, you know, 7 minutes before the game. And so we're thinking, oh God, okay, let's my son and I are trudging through really fast. And we keep going through all these security situations, you know. I mean, it was just ridiculous. And literally we get right up to where he's behind this door, and the security guard says, you know, game's going to start in 2 minutes. And we said, oh, we ran all this way, you know, and so my son had a glove and a ball with him. And so the lady says, well, she kind of saw how sweet my kid was. And so she says, let me see what I can do. And so literally 2 minutes before the game starts, out comes Joe Carter. And whoa. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, he had already retired, you know, maybe 3 to 5 years before. The guy just looked like a stud, right? And the thing is, actually what had happened, I'm sorry, let me back up. My son says, look, I've got, you know, here's a glove, and it's, you know, it's got him on it. You know, maybe could you get him at least just to sign it? Well, Joe comes out with the glove on, and he kind of, you know, pounds his hand in it. And he goes, man, I've been looking for this glove for 30 years, you know. What a guy, you know.
Does your son still have the glove?
What's that?
Does your son still have the glove?
And unfortunately, no. And then he signed the ball too, right? And so eventually we get it home, and I look like about 6 months, a year later, and I see my son. He had been playing with the ball, and so he took a pen. So he started like outlining. He started outlining the signature keys. I couldn't read it that well, so I did it. And I go, oh man.
Oh, you stenciled it in?
No, stenciled it in. I go, yeah, that's not going to be just. That's not going to be worth quite as much anymore.
No, that's funny.
And I don't know if I remember telling you this, that you know, if you get a baseball signed by Babe Ruth is worth more than a signed baseball by Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Do you know that? And the reason,
so just Babe instead of Babe and Lou Gehrig, just the Babe, it's more valuable.
And the reason is because way back in the 20s, baseballs were really expensive. So what kids would do is, if they could even afford a ball, they'd get as many signatures as they could on a ball. Mm-hmm. So to find a ball that has just one signature is extremely rare. I thought that was kind of a neat little trivia situation. Okay, we got one more.
But back to Mookie Betts and the team that he plays for, since we kind of brought it up for the show.
Yeah.
12, 13 games left. Giants, Dodgers. The Giants are playing the San Diego Padres as we record this show. The Dodgers will be against the Arizona Diamondbacks. You've got two of the best teams in the bigs on a collision course. One of them's going to win the division. One of them's going to be on the wild card. And laying in wait will be St. Louis for either one of them. The question is, of the 12 games, how many do the Giants have to win realistically to lock that division up?
How many games ahead? How many games ahead are they now?
One.
One.
Hmm.
7.
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, if the Dodgers
Because
go
they win
12
the
straight,
tiebreaker.
then no, they have to win one now.
The Giants win the tiebreaker between LA and San Francisco. So if they're tied, San Francisco wins the division.
Yeah, but if the Dodgers, run 12 straight, then they'll win it.
This is the scenario that Major League Baseball wanted when they created the wild card. This is the exact reason.
No, it's perfect. Hey, guys, let's cut to a quick break here. I kind of ran over time a little bit.
All right, more on this later.
First trivia question about Say It Ain't Joe. All right.
Joe Smith.
I was a pitcher along with my brother Phil. He won over, it's pretty easy. He won over 300. They get a little harder. He won over 300 games, almost 100 more than I. I played most of my 22 seasons with Houston. In 1979, I barely missed it by that much, missed the Cy Young Award, losing to Bruce Sutter of the Cubs. Who am I? That's our trivia question. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Our first trivia question about Say It Ain't Joe. I was a pitcher along with my brother Phil. So just give me the answer there. What's the answer?
Joe Niekro.
Joe Niekro. There you go. Okay.
Joe Niekro.
Yes.
Knuckleballer.
That's so funny. I just realized on question number 3, I asked the question and I forgot to write down the answer, but I think I remember.
Well, maybe we can provide it.
That's you guys will help me out on that. Okay.
But getting back to before the break, getting back to the discussion, Mr. Jackman feels that the Giants could go 7-12 and get it done.
No.
Wait, 7-5.
I'm sorry, 7-5.
7-5
to get it done. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Because you think the Dodgers will lose 6 games? They'll go 6-6.
I think so.
I don't know. It depends who they play.
Possible.
I mean, Arizona's not so good, and the Padres.
The Padres are playing for something. The Padres are very relevant toward that. They're not dead yet. So the Padres are playing for something, but boy, I just think it's fascinating. Russ is right. This is what the major leagues wanted. They wanted two powerhouse teams with every game meaning absolutely something all the way to the bitter end.
Well, it's sort of like
there haven't been two teams that have won 100 games in the same division since they created the wild card. So that's sort of the interesting side note, was that, the wild card was made because Atlanta and the Giants, both won over 100 games. And
in
Atlanta
1993.
Yeah, but there hasn't been another 2 teams that have won 100 in the same division since then. So this is sort of like what the wild card was made for.
It's sort of like when they do the football schedule and they go, okay, who do we want on Monday night? Well, let's get a couple of division teams, the Packers and the Lions. Which, by the way,
if they're involved in my fantasy team, they'll lose all their best players, and then on Monday night you'll see nothing but backups. That's
now in the American League.
Teams like.
What the networks want in the American League? They want the Red Sox and Yankees. That's what they want.
Of course.
Yeah.
Look, the networks would want 162 games in a row of Yankees Red Sox if they could get away with it.
To some degree.
They would.
I personally think it's good for baseball for the Yankees to be in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For
Love them, hate them, whatever. I mean,
yeah, because that's right. You either root for them or you root against them. It's not. You don't have too much.
The Yankees have been there so much. I don't mind seeing other teams get a chance at the apple, because Yankees, if they didn't win another World Series for the rest of our lifetime, they'd still be the #1 team with the most World Series appearances of any team in the history of baseball.
For quite a while, they would be. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you if you know who Alana McLaughlin is. And you said you did not know. So Alana McLaughlin was born a male and was actually in the U.S. Army Special Forces, transed into a female, and is fighting women via the mixed martial arts, and just apparently took apart this one, and she says, "Man, this guy's a dude." And if you look at it, it's like I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, it's one thing we've kind of kidded around, not kidded around, but we've sort of said, well, okay, weightlifting, okay, they got the advantage, in basketball and all these other, in tennis and all that kind of stuff. But now you're talking about fighting and mixed martial arts, and what's going to happen when some woman gets really, really hurt or dead. I mean,
well, we'll cross in the MMA world. They'll cross that bridge when they come to it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen guys get hurt. I mean, really hurt with broken legs and arms and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I'm not sure if anybody died in
MMA. As far as I know, no.
Not yet.
I don't think that there've been some pretty bad injuries, but the thing is this: with the MMA versus boxing, the MMA artists, martial artists, when you train for the martial arts, and I had a near black belt in jiu-jitsu, so I that's something that I did a lot of work with. You're trained to stop immediately when somebody is hurt. When you box, you're supposed to keep going until a ref stops you. But in karate and in the other martial arts, you're supposed to stop immediately when somebody taps out or says that they're hurt. So there's not as much repeat, like, pounding that you get in the same way that you do when it's boxing.
Well, except I don't know. I mean, they seem like they do take a pounding if they don't tap out.
But it isn't always on the head. It isn't always on the head. Sometimes it's the arm. Sometimes it's the knee. Sometimes it's the foot. I mean, there's a lot of different places.
Until the ref actually stops it, though, a lot of times these guys they only tap out. They only seem to tap out if they're put in a hold that they can't get out of. But if they're just pounded on,
something that doesn't happen.
From the last bouts that I've seen, the referee's been right in there to stop it. As soon as the other person is rendered defenseless, they just stop. Whether you tap out or not.
But in boxing, most referees are told not to stop. They're told to keep the fight going as long as they can because there's so much money resting on it.
But if a guy gets knocked down, I mean, you got to go to a neutral corner. So
right,
like you're talking about the next round, being.
But if a guy's standing on the ropes and he's getting just beat left and right to his head and he doesn't go down, that's where you see the greatest injuries happen in boxing.
Hey, we all saw Rocky IV. What happened to Apollo Creed? Get that white towel ready.
Speaking of boxing, you must watch the Ken Burns latest 4-part documentary on Muhammad Ali. It is unbelievable.
He does a great
that's
job.
A good recommendation.
Ken Burns is awesome, like the Civil War and baseball. He did
the jazz documentary.
What was that?
The jazz documentary he did.
I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, Ken Burns did one on jazz. It was amazing.
Yeah, nobody does it better than Ken Burns, and he is on it. Fascinating stuff.
Good recommendation.
Hey guys, I'm going to move over to football for a minute. Do you think Cam Newton will be back with the quarterbacks having various injuries going on? What do you think?
Well, you'd like to say eventually.
Yeah,
if I draft him on my fantasy team, there's no chance. If I draft him on my fantasy team, he'll absolutely not ever play another down of football.
Because they have it in for you there, my friend.
I drafted Mostert in the 3rd round. That's all I got to say.
Sorry.
And then for the next week, I pick up JaMychal Hasty to try to get a backup for him, and that's where my luck is.
High ankle sprain.
Yeah.
JaMychal Hasty. The 49ers, they have some issues there at running back. They only have one healthy back on the roster.
Bring back Frank Gore.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people are saying. And the Niners should. I mean, they're talking about, trying to get some guys that have been in mothballs for years. Why not just get Frank Gore back? He's still got
Tom
a little bit of
Rathman
gas.
or Bill Ring. Bring those guys back too.
Frank Gore was just in the league, so I think he still has some gas in the tank. But it's pretty desperate. That, or maybe they got to make Trey Lance into a running back. He was going to be a running quarterback anyway, so why not make him a running back?
Well, you don't want him to get too hurt.
He's not playing any minutes last week. So.
Probably Elijah Mitchell is probably going to play. He's got the ding shoulder, and they're just monitor that. In fact, I'm going to practice middle of the week to kind of see what's going on there. But the Elijah Mitchell will probably play against the Packers.
You know what? You should put the pads on. Maybe they'll need you, Vern.
Oh no! Jeez.
No, you had that
after the first NFL carry by Trey Sermon. Did you see that? Gets hit in the head twice,
and
then fumbles the football.
I was going to mention that today.
And he's in concussion protocol.
Jeez.
How in the world have the Philadelphia Eagles not been fined for that hit on Trey Sermon? I mean, that absolutely, to me, if ever there was a reason to fine somebody, the hit that was done on Trace, not only did he get hit with a forearm on the head on the way down, but then getting smashed in the head while he's going down and then hitting the turf. That was just terrible. I really can't believe the NFL is fining guys for, blowing kisses to the crowd and for waving and, making hand gestures, but they won't fine guys for literally decapitating a guy on the field.
Yeah.
Well, as we record this show, the week is still young. There's still time for him to get a little, hit in the wallet. I mean, that can happen later in the week. But what do you think about these unbeaten teams? In the AFC, there's only two 2-0 teams. One is the Broncos, and the other one is the Raiders.
Yeah.
And in the NFC, Niners, Rams, Cardinals, Buccaneers, and Panthers, all 2-0.
Well, three of those teams are the NFC West, so it's and Seattle just barely lost.
That's true.
So the NFC West is a lot of tough sledding.
We love our hometown guy.
Whoever wants to win it.
We love our hometown guy, Jared Goff, but boy, I tell you, the Rams just made an awesome trade. I mean,
of the winless teams, I would say Detroit's the best of the winless ones because they can run the football, and they were certainly effective early on in their game at the Packers. It's just that the Packers were able to just readjust, and in a game at Lambeau Field, once Aaron Rodgers got his rhythm.
And the Lions almost came back and beat our Niners. Okay, here's our second trivia question. Say it ain't Joe. I was blessed by being able to manage some of the greatest players in history. I managed 24 seasons and took the Yankees to 8 World Series. I was there for Lou Gehrig's final season and watched him die in 1941. Who am I? All right.
Wait, he was there for what? Well,
I'll repeat it when we get back. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Second trivia question. I was blessed by being able to manage some of the greatest players in history. I managed for 24 seasons and took the Yankees to 8 World Series. I was there for Lou Gehrig's final season and watched him die in 1941. Who am I? And you're right, it's not Joe Torre, obviously.
No.
You can only think of Joe DiMaggio, and that's the only name that comes to mind.
He didn't manage, though.
I know.
Ready?
Tell us, who is it?
Joe McCarthy.
Joe McCarthy.
Yeah.
Legendary Joe McCarthy. I forgot about him.
I forgot about him. Yeah, and he managed the World Series. It's kind of tough to forget about him. Okay, so we were talking Cam Newton coming back. What about Deshaun Watson? Think he's going to be playing?
Yes. Tyrod Taylor is hurt right now, isn't he?
Tyrod Taylor is hurt. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of guys that are injured. I mean, he's on the roster. I mean, at this point, I mean, if you're in the business of winning,
you got to show if you're Houston, you have to showcase him for other teams to see what he's got. I mean, he didn't play much in the preseason at all, and so teams really don't know how good he is until he gets back out there and starts tossing the ball around. And so I think if you're Houston, you kind of are obligated to put him out on the field.
And speaking of guys tossing the ball around, what do you think of the theory that Tom Brady, for whatever reason, is better at 44 than he was at 24?
Well,
the way he's been playing and as productive as he's been, he's put up some solid numbers in the league.
He is. Well, I don't know how to compare, his front line. You have to kind of go back in time because obviously that's a part of it, but he's definitely, with all the experience, he's got more, upstairs with experience. So that's the physical part is going to be a major part. Good.
I think now that we've seen what kind of performance Evander Holyfield put forward in the ring, it makes us appreciate Tom Brady a little bit more, because that Evander Holyfield match was disgusting. And, when you talked about Muhammad Ali and the legends of boxing, at least Muhammad Ali knew when to hang it up. I hope that we don't see Evander Holyfield continue to get back in the ring and embarrass himself. Like
I don't think he lasted around, did he?
Week.
No, I think it was a first round.
He did not.
Yeah. No, that's the sort of thing that would make you. I think that's the sort of thing that would make you want to hold it, hang it up, just so that you don't embarrass yourself that much more.
But he made like $20 million, so I don't know if it's such a bad idea. All 9 of his kids.
I was going to say how many kids he got. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, they probably really appreciate it for the child support payments that he owes. But it's ridiculous that a guy that's nearly 60 is.
Well, he hasn't beaten. Doesn't Peterson has got 11 kids? The running back.
Yeah, Adrian
Peterson.
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't name them.
That's a lot.
He was asked to name them all, and he couldn't remember their names.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe.
Yeah, that's a lot of food. It's a lot of groceries.
Yeah.
Jeez, a lot of child support.
That's. Yeah, I can't even imagine how much that's got to cost every month.
I think they calculated it was something like $20,000 a month. I think they said
that's actually cheap. He's got some skinny kids then. my kids can eat more than that by themselves. But it's not just that. I mean, it's not just the child support. You probably have alimony, which is also got to rack up, and got to think 11. I don't know. I know it's 11 kids, but I think it's like 9 different women. So,
why do you think he hasn't retired?
Yeah, I know. I mean, can you imagine working that hard, at your job just to see it all go bye-bye?
I don't have to imagine that. I don't have to imagine that, Edward.
Happens all the time, Edward.
I'm living it. I'm living it.
You're living it? Yeah, but you love what you do.
Well, so did Adrian Peterson.
Stuck in traffic.
No, I'm sorry, Russell. That was kind of a cheap shot. I'm sorry. I apologize, because I know you're not really happy in what you're doing like today. But
thank God my boss never listens to this show, so we'll keep it at that.
Okay. Hey, one more thing about baseball I have here. Why is Major League Baseball requiring all non-playing personnel to be vaccinated, but not players? Why do you think that is?
Players Union?
I mean, that's the only thing I can.
It may be.
Players
Union is strong.
Yeah, but
it's they're not doing their members a service by getting vaccinations. They should be sticking up for vaccinations rather than saying we don't need to have them.
Yeah, but you probably have some players who are going to be like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do it. Now they probably get tested though, right? I mean, they have the money to get
all the
tested.
time.
They have to.
Yeah.
So in theory, and I've said this last week too, is that in theory, if you get tested and it's fairly accurate for that time, right then and there, that's probably the best thing you can do, because that'll tell you right then and there, are you a danger to other people, and to yourself. So I just wanted to get your feel on that, and I think you guys are right about it being the player personnel, the union.
How about the Donovan Solano story? He was double vaxxed, got COVID, had to stay in a hotel room for 11 days.
Oh yeah.
Giants, they send him bats and they send him weights and workout stuff, and he was practicing, I guess going through his routine, like in a mirror and all that kind of stuff. And then so he's away for like 15 days, doesn't swing a bat in a game. Then he shows up and he hits a game-tying homer to put the Giants.
This is why I think this Giants team is a team of destiny. This is why I feel that this Giants team is a team of destiny, because stuff like that keeps happening. And when you need to win a World Series, that's the sort of luck you need.
Well, it's like the 2012, how they just, down to nothing and then come back against the Reds and then against the Cardinals. And just, it's like when you
reminds me a lot of the 2012 team.
Yeah. And then by the time they get to the Tigers, they win 4 straight.
Yeah. It's like, okay, enough of this closeness stuff. We're just going to go right
exactly.
through. Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't it the first game Panda hit 3 home runs? Was the first game?
In the first game, it was Sandoval went deep 3 times.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Wow. It's incredible.
Crazy.
Anything else you guys want to talk about for 3 more minutes before we cut to the next break?
Well, just as you look ahead, it's going to be another big weekend in the NFL. The out here, it's the 49ers in their home opener against the Packers coming in. Yeah. And it doesn't get any easier for the 49ers because they have Seattle on the back end of that. The following Monday will be media day at the Golden State Warriors because the NBA training camp is going to be underway for the entire season. It just never ends.
I was going to say, didn't we just see Giannis take over?
Then here we are again. So. Oh. I love for one that lives it. I love it. So bring it on.
I mean, that'd be kind of crazy.
I'm really excited for this Warriors season. As a Warriors fan, I feel that we're in a huge transition season for us. Yeah. This will either be how this team gets back to another championship, or they got to dismantle this team and start over again.
Well, they got to get healthy first. Yeah. Wiseman's timetable's been pushed back. Klay Thompson, we don't know about. Yeah. They got to get healthy first before we can kind of make that kind of judgment as to who will dethrone the Milwaukee Bucks as they start their defense of their NBA title.
So, what do you do when, you say, you can see upcoming, great. Okay, we can definitely, there's a lot of good stories coming up. But what do you do when you sort of look out a little bit and you go, okay, what are we going to cover? I know there's always something, but you always, you got to keep the audience engaged all the time. What do you do?
Well, as a sportscaster in a TV market where your job is to cover the local teams, you get a sense of what's coming up schedule wise. And the only question for me and the sports department is to, how we're going to cover these things. We know that we know the Warriors season around the corner. We know the 49ers with a hot button issue, and then but also work for a station that carries the Raider games, another 2-0 team. And even though they're in Vegas, the fan base in the Bay Area is extremely strong. So we have to.
Yeah, how have the ratings been? Vern, how have the ratings been for the Raiders?
How the ratings
broke up. How have the ratings
been? How have the ratings been?
How have the ratings been for the Raiders?
For the Raiders. The ratings. The Raiders. RATINGS.
Oh,
ratings.
We've only had them on our air once, and that was this past weekend. They were on the NFL Network the following the week before, but when they upset the Ravens, then all of a sudden the Raiders are on the radar, and they went to Pittsburgh and unbelievably wanted Pittsburgh, and so now we're having this groundswell of Raider following, and it's funny, the emails I get, a lot of folks don't understand why we still carry them. A lot of folks are like, they left. They're in Vegas now.
Yeah.
Well, they don't understand the whole game within the game. They don't understand that CBS has the AFC contract, and we're dictated by which teams we carry. And CBS, they're no dummies. They know the fan base is strong still here in the Bay Area, so we're going to continue to carry the Raider games because the Q rating is through the roof. Well, the Raiders are global, worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people walking around in Bolivia wearing Raiders swag.
Well, listen, they left once to go to LA and came back. Maybe they'll go to Vegas and come back. Maybe there's
I don't think so.
They're never coming back. No,
I don't think so.
No,
never coming back. Not happening.
No. I mean the big stadium, you know, they give the fan base there. It's I was kind of saying that sort of tongue in cheek, but maybe there's just some people who are kind of going, well, I'm going to follow them still. I mean, listen, I still remember, you know, Jim Otto and George Blanda and all those, Cliff Branch and Marv Hubbard and Fred Biletnikoff and Stabler.
But now it's all about Derek Carr and Henry Ruggs III.
Yeah.
And Carr, he's leading the league with almost 900 yards in 2 games. So, I mean, Raiders are lighting it up. Yep. They're getting it done.
And if anything happens to Carr, bring back Daryl LaMonica. You know, that guy, it's funny. That guy never got enough credit, but boy, that guy's arm was just phenomenal. Go back and watch some highlights of Daryl LaMonica. All right, we're going to go to
the Mad Bomber.
Mad Bomber. There we go. The third. Here's our third trivia question. It's Say It Ain't Joe. I was famous for my long sideburns as a New York Yankee first baseman. I played with the Yankees from 1962 to 1969, but played a total of 12 seasons in the majors. One of my highlights was hitting a home run in the 1964 World Series. I think that was against the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. Who am I? All right. That's our trivia question. Say it ain't Joe. I was a fan.
You had a chance to ask a Joe Smith trivia question, and you didn't use it. So I'm very disappointed.
Well, who's Joe Smith? There's a lot of Joe Smiths out there.
Number 1 overall NBA draft pick.
Oh, there you go. Okay. All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Our third trivia question. I was famous. This is the topic is Say It Ain't Joe. I was famous for my long sideburns as a New York Yankee first baseman. I played with the Yankees from 1962 to 1969, but played a total of 12 seasons in the majors. One of my highlights, I think he also played for the Red Sox, if I'm not mistaken. But okay, one of my highlights was hitting a home run in the 1964 World Series. Who am I?
Joe Pepitone.
Joe Pepitone. That is correct. Now, Russell, did you know that one?
3 years before I was born, he hit a home run in the World Series. Yeah, but the answer, I have heard of Joe Pepitone, but I would have never guessed him. I would have never guessed him.
See, but you do know some players who were existing before you were born.
How about that?
A lot of them because they're managers.
Okay.
Yeah, let's give him points for that.
Yeah, we'll give you points. Okay, here's our thoughts for the day, my friends. A man is great not because he hasn't failed. A man is great because failure hasn't stopped him. That's a good one.
All right.
And you know who said that?
Dies.
Confucius said that. And my girlfriend left me because of what she described as my weird pasta fetish. Now I'm feeling cannelloni.
Nice.
Cannelloni.
Nice.
Russell,
you and the dad joke. You're king of the dad jokes.
Russell, I didn't hear you laugh on that one. Did you get it?
That's because there wasn't any laughter. So your hearing works perfectly.
Oh, you just give me the old 1-2 punch. 1-2. All right, gentlemen, audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
Adios.
So long.